Today our topic is the Hinduism, sociological analysis of the Hindu culture and Hinduism. Let's introduce about the Hinduism. Hinduism is actually considered to be one of the or the oldest religion of the world, as some authors believe that if the Indus Valley civilization was the real source of the emerging of the civilization, then definitely Hinduism is the oldest religion. It originated on the Indian subcontinent, Indus Valley civilization. That's why means the Hindu word was actually used by the Greek and the Persians. They used to call those people that were living beside or beyond the Indus Valley civilization. Hinduism is a real, according to many sacred writings that are found to be in the Sanskrit and vernacular language, that actually caused the spread of the religion across the world. From this, this Hinduism through these sacred writings spread throughout the world. Hinduism term actually became familiar as a designator of religious ideas and practices distinctive to India, with the publication of the Oxford scholar Sanskrit dictionary Sir Monier Williams. His book Hinduism, published in the 1877, and this book actually was the real source of of the development of this religion, and this caused the attention of the many renowned writers, authors, and researchers of that time. Hinduism, if we talk about the nature of the Hinduism, it is really multi-leveled and pluralistic in traditions and its practices. How? I am going to tell you one thing very interesting about this religion, how it is multi-leveled and how it is pluralistic in its. As you might have some sort of familiarity with the term of the monotheism or the monotheist. Okay? What it is actually? To worship one God. There exists only one God, and that is deserved to be worshipped, to be prayed, to be offered all the rituals, and to be sought help. That's how. This can also be seen in the Hinduism. This is like Hindus believe actually it was the Brahma who created the world, and although there are other beliefs in the Hinduism that means clearly endorse this idea that there exists to be only one God. However, there are some various shapes of gods or some prophets that also deserve respect or praying, worship. Okay. So this is what means monotheism. But you cannot be absolute. You cannot just absolutely means associate Hinduism with monotheism. Okay, this is not the case. Why? Because this religion is the polytheist. Okay, monotheistic now is the polytheistic. How? Because in polytheistic conceptions and theories, what it is actually, there are multiple gods that must be worshipped. That is the case in the Hinduism. Hindus believe that it was Brahma who created the world. It was the Vishnu who is preserving the world. Means जिसको इस दुनिया को कायम रख रहा है. But it is actually the Shiva that is the destroyer of the world, and it is the Lakshmi, and so on and on. Multiple thousands, millions of gods, names of gods are found to be in the Hinduism. So this is also polytheistic. But the this is not absolutely polytheistic, because there are some things, some beliefs that actually God created all things. Like we say that in Hindu, some of Hindus believe that fire is a god that must be worshipped. Cow, that's actually objectified, that is a symbol of this world, that also be worshipped. And Ganga, not worshipped but can be respected and can be a source of remission of sins. गुनाह पंजा उतनी माफ़ कराया जा सकता हूँ, just to have one dive, एक दफ़ा भेजो, to take one bath and then just to purify yourself. But however, God, these all things are created by God, okay? But God is still above all these things. He's more than those things. This belief is actually termed as the pantheistic, okay? So means pantheistic say that God created many things, like I just told you now, but God is still above all those things. So this is also seen to be in the Hinduism. And in Hindus there are also beliefs and conceptions that actually God created the world and then absorbed into that world in such a way enough that he exists no more. What does it means? Does it make sense? Okay, let me elaborate on it. Means God created all these things, then actually essence means actually उन्हनि में एतिरो त मिली वियो उन्हनि शयुनि में त जी बाहि थी वई, पाणी थी वियो, आसमान थी वियो, बारिश थी वई, ओके, what mean, and ज़लज़ला थी वियो, what all these things, काव थी वई, उन्हनि में एतिरो त मिली वियो that he is, there is no distinction. तव्हां उन्हनि में फ़र्क़ु नथा करे सघो what the God is and what are those else things that are created by God. So God and those things created by God are actually one, similar. So this belief is actually pantheistic. That's why I must say that Hinduism is also pantheistic. Okay. There is also a view that actually even some of the the atheistic, although it is very rarely found in Hinduism, it still is found. What I was actually illustrating through these terms, that Hinduism is multi-leveled. The nature of Hinduism is multi-leveled, pluralistic, okay? So far so it is clear. As we have seen that we cannot still go with only an absolute way, that whether it is monotheistic, polytheistic, pantheistic. However, some elements are seen to be common among all these things. So that's why it is. Okay. So the roots of Hinduism actually, when we say nature of Hinduism, so there is also another belief that actually means truth or reality cannot be encapsulated by in any single creedal formulation. Even there are in the perspective expressed in the Hindu prayer, means it is a perspective in when Hindu go with prayer, that may good thoughts come from all sides. Okay, so there is no restriction upon the upon a single way or single thought or single perspective. Just Hindus would say that reality is actually in multiple shapes, in multiple ways. So it may come from anywhere, but what is the important, that the truth must be conveyed, reality must be conveyed, reality must be experienced by all of us. So that's why I must say that Hinduism is multi-level and pluralistic in nature. Now I am going towards the most important aspect, most important area of the sociology, that is the Hindu culture. In the Hindu culture, if I say that the Hindu culture, it means that I am going to elaborate on its way of living, as in culture is something sociologists and not only sociologists, definitely anthropologists, some other unknown scholars, researchers, and that are highly well known that knows that actually culture is the whole complex which means includes knowledge, belief, or art, moral laws, customs, and also material things that are man-made. In brief, or in other words, culture is actually the whole way of life of the people. So when this is what actually sociologists are highly interested. Hindu culture, when we say Hindu culture, there are four main aspects of the Hindu culture. One of them is the hierarchy. Hierarchy is actually chain of authority. Okay, how in Hindu culture, virtually everything is seen to be graded and classified and categorized, lower, middle, upper. How? Like in Hinduism, based on like people, based on age, based on caste system and gender. I'm going to now show you how it is hierarchical culture of the Hinduism. In Hinduism, the caste system is highly graded. Hindus' beliefs and Hindu sacred writings assert, claim that actually there are only four castes. Okay? Four means original caste. One is the Brahman, second is the Kshatriya, third is the Vaishyas, and fourth is the Shudras. However, these castes are not as similar as in other castes in other religions are. How? Because Hindu means sacred writings and texts and myths even confirm the idea that actually Brahma, that I already mentioned, Brahma, the creator of the world, creator of the universe, created the Brahman from his head. Since head maintains the important and the unique position in human body, we can say that if someone's head, if someone is in a straight posture, if someone is giving means if walking, is sitting, standing, or whatever he is doing, it is the mental process that is actually posturing this all, that is actually controlling his whole body. If there would be some problem here, he would not even be able to stand for a second. He would not be even able to do some things by himself. So it is the mental activity that is actually means managing and controlling all of our other organs of the body. Similar is the case in the caste system of the Hindu myths. They believe that Brahman were created from the head. That's why they are superior. They must be given those positions that are privileged, that have means very respected position in the society. Like they are priests. None of the other castes would be in those positions. Like priests are often what? Brahma. And what the priest's whole position in the Hindu culture? Priests actually determine the marriage ceremony, marriage date, and also other important occasions and events of the Hindu culture. So priests have really important position. They also means play a dominant role in the temples. That's why they are superior. And then next comes to us the Kshatriyas. Kshatriya in the Hindu culture or in the Hinduism, they are believed to be created from the arm. So Kshatriyas are often warriors, since these arms are used to fight and to to fight and do such things. So they are often warriors and also rulers. They have still very good position, solid position, and they enjoy a good status in the society. Still they are lower than that of Brahman. Next comes the in the Hindu caste system the Vaishyas. Vaishyas actually are the farmers, traders, and certain laborers. These, in the point of view of the, in the writings of Hinduism, they Vishnu, the Brahma created Vaishyas from their thigh, this area. Okay, from there. That's why they hold third position in the caste system of the Hinduism. Then last comes the pitiful caste is the Shudras, untouchable. That in the previous time, in the earlier time, they were actually not allowed to join other castes and sit with them and have a company with them. They were not even allowed to do something creative or productive. They were only assigned jobs that were low, that was of low level, हल्के किस्म की नौकरी, मिसाल निकाल स्वीपर्स, पियोन, and so on and on. So still there are practical examples suggest in the India that many newspapers and electronic social media still showing very empirical evidences that Dalits are still subject to injustice and discrimination. Okay, so this is a whole caste system in India is discriminated, and inequality is quite clear from this whole caste system. That's why I have termed it as the hierarchy is the most important aspect of the Hindu culture. Then second is the in the Hindu culture, the important aspects. Still, I would like to give another example of the hierarchy, that food. In Hinduism, vegetarians are believed to be better off than others like non-vegetarians, and vice versa and so on. Okay, so there's next is the next comes in the Hindu culture is the continuity. Okay, this is very interesting. In Hindu society is believed to be continuous. Okay, from the means it has been continuing. Okay? It is eternal. हमेशा रहने वाली. It is termed in the Hinduism Shashvata. Okay, Shashvata. It is continuous. How this continuity can be assured by the theory of karma. Theory of karma in Hinduism hold that actually the deeds of a person have consequences that might be in this world or in this life or in the life to come. This is also theory of Samasvata, like something else. That theory holds in the Hinduism that actually soul, that is the soul, and that is termed in Hinduism Atma, never dies. It is the human body that disappears from this world for just temporarily, and then the soul retakes birth. So this recycle process goes on and on until one gets salvation. So means what it is actually, this is continuous. Soul has been continuing. So this is the important aspects of the Hindu culture, and this is the critical area of the Hindu culture. Third is the holism. Holism, what holism means? Holism means that individuals and the group are connected with each other. Okay, individual is not separate from that group. Why? How? Like means Hinduism says that individual is not an autonomy. He khud mukhtiyar na hai. He is not liberal enough that to decide all the complete course of his life. He is constrained by values and norms of the society. He must abide by those norms. Like I already mentioned one example, that pluralistic society in Hinduism means if someone even is not agree with any viewpoint, okay, but still he cannot he is not supposed to violate it. Like Hinduism, there is a culture of collective judgment. Okay, collective wisdom is superior than the individual wisdom. Okay? So these things in the holism, individual means individual wisdom is still compared, is still means despised. वो respect not in India that has the panchayat in the Hindu culture, or the collective superiority, collective judgment. So individual is actually what merely a part of guru and society or Hindu culture, but still he is subordinate of it. Then comes the transcendence. Transcendence is actually transcendent terms itself suggest that those things that are beyond the control of human beings. I mean, those things that are beyond definitely something that is beyond the control of a human being must have to do with supernatural things, with the God, with the spiritual world, with the spiritual entities. Okay, I mean, those things that we cannot approach. Otherwise, rest of the things that have to do with this world, with this earth, with the material things that are somehow controlled in the human being. So, in the Hindu culture, it is believed that there is transcendence. Like how? It is actually the legitimacy of traditional values that can never be challenged. It legitimizes the Hinduism values, norms, sacred writings, myths, okay, traditions, customs. How? In Hinduism, in the earlier society, even before I would like to give example before the partition, before the partition of India and Pakistan in the 18th and 19th century, when the British 17 and 16 or 17th century, when British were not ruling the subcontinent, a woman was supposed and also in certain circumstances was forced to die herself with her husband. When her husband died, and because in Hinduism it is burned, because Sadhu a woman was supposed to and was forced to burn itself with that husband, because it is believed that woman's entity, woman's existence is actually associated with her husband. So what she is, what she was actually completely dependent on the husband. Since husband is no more alive, husband is no longer husband no longer exists in this world. So it is logical, it is wise for a woman to die herself with her husband. Her existence, her body, her soul has very less meaning without her husband. So she was subject to this tradition that is named as the sati. Okay, but thanks God, then British came into the Indian subcontinent and they actually introduced the law and prohibited the sati tradition and was sanctioned it. Thereafter some change. Still it is believed to be correct tradition by many Hindus. However, there were people in the Hindu culture, in the Hindu religion, that never endorsed this idea, yet they kept silent. They never put a question mark on this tradition. Why? This is because of the transcendence. What I am trying to understand you, that Hindu culture is Hinduism is transcendence. How? Those traditions, those customs, rituals, and other things that Hinduism gives to its followers, that have something to do with supernatural power, that have to do something beyond human control, that have to do something beyond human wisdom. That's why human cannot put a question mark on these things. Okay, even if they are illogical, like I just gave you this example of the sati that was completely illogical. This is not my point of view, but also many renowned authors believe that how it is illogical, because it is illogical because woman is also is something that exists apart from husband, apart from her son, brother, She is a human being. Definitely, if someone is a human being, she has the right to live. She has the right. She must have the right to be educated. She has the right to live a free and absolutely autonomous life. But this was not the case in Hinduism, and is still not. So these traditions were actually transcendent. Not only this, but there is also collective superiority that I already mentioned. Panchayat is believed to be superior than the individual wisdom. That's all. If I conclude my this whole lecture, Hinduism is the one of the oldest religions that flourished in the Indus Valley civilization, in the subcontinent, and then spread across the world as well. And it is really pluralistic that one cannot easily determine whether it is monotheistic, polytheistic, pantheistic, or anything else. It has really some pluralistic traditions, spiritual teachings, and rituals, and behaviors, and practices. Its stories comes from the sacred writings of the books like that were written, I told you, in Sanskrit, Vedas, okay, Upanishads. These are all in the Sanskrit. And the most important thing about the Hindu culture is that it is one of the oldest culture. It is still highly seen to be highly existing in the South Asian countries, and but there are things like in the Hindu society there is like straightforward discrimination based on caste and gender. There is also something not means equal for many people, and there is also individual those who are the really individualistic. They must be critically evaluating this Hinduism, because Hinduism believes that it is the group and society that maintains a superior position, and that's why those norms and values of society must be abided by the individual. He has no right to put a question mark on the traditions like Sati, like Panchayat, like other things. This is all about the Hinduism. Hopefully you have enjoyed it and learned it. I tried my level best to enable the learning of the students, since my purpose is to teach you, educate you, not to complicate things, but to make things easier. That's all. Thank you.